Welcome to Agoracom CEO interviews, in which we take the time to interview small cap CEOs and executives about their companies. With us today, Steve Regoci. He's President, CEO, and Director of Garibaldi Resources. The company trades on the stock symbol GGI on the TSX Venture Exchange, and you can find him at GaribaldiResources.com. Now, for those of you who are new to the company, what you don't know is this: the company's discoveries and strategic developments of its assets in some of the most prolific mining regions of Mexico and British Columbia are impressive, and we're going to talk about those with Steve in a second. But on top of that, what's great about this company is they've got $3.2 million in working capital. That's per their latest financial, October 31st. That's due to a sale of some assets to Paramount Gold, and we'll talk about that with Steve. They've had no major financing since 2009 as a result of that, and yet they still got $3.2 million in capital. And contrary to a lot of small cap juniors that had to finance and dilute, company share structure is still very respectable, very tight at 60 million, just under 60 million shares outstanding. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hi, George. Thank you very much.
First thing I want to talk about before we jump into into your projects here is the working capital. If you could expand the $3.2 million of working capital you have right now, expand on that, because that's important at a time when a lot of juniors, despite the fact that things are starting to turn around for the quality companies, cash and working capital is still critical, and you've got it. Tell us why you've got it.
Well, we entered Mexico back in 2005, and by 2008, we'd accumulated something like 300,000 square kilometers of very prospective ground around some of the larger discoveries made in Mexico, including a deposit that was originally discovered by Bolognesi, which ended up being spun off into a company called Palmarejo. The stock traded up to $10 a share and was subsequently taken out by Coeur d'Alene. We control 50,000 hectares surrounding that deposit. Also in the district was Paramount Gold and Silver. And so we got into a negotiation situation with both Coeur d'Alene and Paramount, and decided for the best, as far as the shareholders is concerned, it was the best interest of the shareholders that we did a deal with Paramount where for $400,000 US and 6 million shares of Paramount, we sold the interest in the Tamoras district. And so we haven't had to, the deal was completed in 2009, we haven't had to dilute the company. There's no overhang as far as our stock is concerned since 2009, and we still are in pretty decent shape, having come out of a very challenging 3-year downturn in the markets since 2009. I think that we're well positioned. We kept our feet moving forward. The main thing here is that even at the worst of the bottom of the market, we just kept moving our feet forward and keeping our projects, advancing them, and making sure that the value that was being added to all of these projects that we have in Mexico. We still have 50,000 hectares in 3 different states, Chihuahua State, Sonora State, and down in Sinaloa. So we've got some very large projects down there that we've been advancing ever since, and then recently we've also made some discoveries up in British Columbia.
That's what we're going to talk about in a second. I want to say one last point on that. In hindsight, that looks like an easy decision to make, but back in 2009, that call took some guts, and a credit to you and your management team for making that call on the Paramount side.
Well, we were able to negotiate that at the a pretty dismal time, bottom of the market. So again, we were very fortunate, and I think it was kind of a feather in the cap of the management team to be able to consummate that kind of a deal, and it's served the shareholders very, very well, and we've been certainly spending our money very, very carefully, but always into the ground and keeping everything moving forward.
Now, and let's go straight into that now. You've got British Columbia, Mexico. I want to start with British Columbia. Northwestern British Columbia has seen a bit of a staking rush going on there, but you've been there for quite a while, since 2006. We'll talk about that. You've got your Grizzly property there that's in the Chesley Valley, and you back on January 31st of this year, you announced that you expanded it by nearly 50%. Why did you guys do that? What's the data that led you to make that decision?
Well, the the Chesley Valley is in a very prolific area of the Stikine Arch, Golden Triangle, various names. It's a 1,000-kilometer belt in the Ring of Fire. Goes all the way from down to Mexico to Chile. So this is a very prolific area. There's some major deposits that have been discovered up there. A lot of these alkylic copper porphyry discoveries have been made in recent years. It's just an area where its time has come. We felt very strongly back in 2006 that this was an exceptional opportunity for our shareholders, and we just kind of hung on to it and did enough work every year to keep it moving forward. The neighboring property had something like 20 holes drilled into it. All of them had economic grade copper gold mineralization. So again, it wasn't so much we knew about this. It wasn't so much a no-brainer as we just felt very, very strongly that that area was going to have its day. And certainly with the developments over the last year, you had the Red Chris going into production in northwest BC, the Colorado find, the Prosper Gold acquisition of the neighboring ground that I just discussed. They've drilled another 5 holes there. All of them had economic grade copper goldization in it. So they're literally batting 1,000 on the holes that have been drilled on this property. It's a cluster of copper porphyries that, we've identified a 15-kilometer belt on our ground, a corridor, if you will, running northwest, southeast, and that is something that we're going to jump all over. We're not going to sit back and ride anyone's coattails. Those guys are going to be the Prosper Gold management team. Was actually the Richfield Ventures had discovered the Blackwater gold deposit, and these guys really know their stuff. They sold the Blackwater deposit to New Gold for $500 million. They searched for 3 years and decided on the property joining Garibaldi's Grizzly project, and we're seeing clusters, the indications of clusters of porphyries. These things always come in clusters, and it extends all the way down to a most recent find on our eastern flank. A small company called Double View went in there and very courageously drilled right up until the end of November, and they pulled a 300-meter hole of 0.32 copper gold equivalent. It's just, I think, the fact that those holes were 9 kilometers southeast of Prosper shows you how pregnant this system is. And so we decided, even before those results came out, we're going to in for a penny, in for a pound. We jumped all over it and increased the claim position for Garibaldi and expanded the Grizzly by 50%. And it was just in the nick of time because, like literally the next day, all the ground around us was gone. We got in there and got some really ideal property right along strike. So we're very excited about the prospects for the upcoming season. You almost want
to rename Garibaldi Preemptive, because you guys picked up this project in 2006. You made the sale for the shares back in 2009. You staked another 6,500 hectares the day before. Everyone came up there and took more. So hats off to your team. You're a sponsor of Agoracom, but nonetheless, the facts that you're laying out speak for themselves, and the quality management team that you got there. So let's jump right into the question then. You hit the nail on the head. You said you're not going to ride anyone's coattails, and you took the words out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you, were you going to just ride the coattails and let the rising tide there rise your boat as well? Obviously, you're not going to. Do you have any details about this aggressive 2014 exploration plan, or is that still being laid out right now?
Certain elements of it are being laid out. A bunch of people have approached us about how we're going to go about what we're going to do. We're working on a sequence that we're going to update the market on here fairly soon. And I think that there's no doubt that one option was not to sit back. It's such a large land pack. We have Teck on our southern border. We, as a junior, have the largest land package there now, up to over 260 square kilometers. Teck on our southern border has 600 square kilometers. So as a major, they've got one big chunk of property there. We've certainly been sharing some data with the Prosper Gold guys, and there's no doubt that we want to get aggressive with this. These kind of opportunities, we see this as potentially it potentially could be a company maker.
You've been watching Steve Regoci, the last Boy Scout. He's President, CEO, and Director of Garibaldi Resources, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol GGI. You can find him on the web for more information at GaribaldiResources.com. And if you want to get together with other shareholders and have some discussions in a moderate environment, you can always go to Agoracom as well, where there's just some free discussion between investors there exchanging ideas. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Steve, see you next time. In the meantime, have a great day.